Hi students, I hope all of you had good health and we have already done our live class of biology and it was a wonderful experience students and I got my energy from you all to teach you more nicely in a more better way so that you can understand well. But before going into our next topic, I would like to announce you two things once more through my video. Firstly, you asked me about the diagrams which you need to draw in your classwork copy. I have already uploaded the things. I have written and uploaded the thing in your Google Classroom wall. Please go and have a look at what kind of diagrams you need to draw in your classwork copy. Next is you asked me about the exercise question answer of your book. Now the thing is I have also solved the exercise question answer from your book and have uploaded it in Google Classroom. So the summer break you are getting, you should write all the assignment question answer as well as the exercise question answer which I have already uploaded in the Google Classroom of chapter 1 leaf and of chapter 2 the flower in your classwork copy. Okay, so let us start students. So this is the part 2 solution which I have already given you in my previous video lesson. So I will be discussing with you a little bit of this and then proceed into our next part, that is part 3. So the first question I asked you was from the name the following, a water plant that is insect pollinated. It may be trapa or lotus. Next is a false fruit, it is apple. Then a dry fruit, it is walnut. A fleshy fruit, it is mango. A monocotyledonous seed, it is maize. As I said that seed which is having only one seed leaf is known as monocotyledonous, and one such example is maize. Next is a dicotyledonous seed, means seed having two seed leaves, and the example is bean. Okay. Next, I have given you question, state the function. State the function of fruit. As I have already told you that in case of fruit, it protects seed from unfavorable condition and store food for the developing embryo. This is the main function of fruit. Next, I have given you to write the function of micropyle. It mainly helps in entry of water and gases so that respiration can occur. Next is cotyledon. It contains stored food material for the seedling. Next is radicle. Now radicle what does is it develops into the future root system. Plumule, it develops into the future shoot or the shoot system. Endosperm, it mainly stores food in the form of starch. Later on we will see that the developing embryo while germinating utilizes this food from the endosperm. Next is alluvial layer. It mainly stores protein rich layer, and we know protein is very much essential for growth of the embryo. Next, I have given you to write about the difference between epicarp and mesocarp. Epicarp is the outer protective covering of the fruit, and mesocarp is a sweet, fleshy, edible middle part of the fruit. This is the difference between epicarp and mesocarp. Next is the difference between bean and maize grain. For bean seed, I have already said you that it is a dicot seed. Dicot seed means having two seed leaves. And for maize grain, it is monocot seed. Monocot means it consists of only one seed leaf. Next is in case of bean seed, the endosperm is absent. But in case of maize grain, the endosperm is present. Now in bean seed, the third point, embryo is large. Whereas in case of maize grain, the embryo is small. And since Bean seed do not have any endosperm, therefore cotyledon store food in case of bean seed. But in case of maize seed, the endosperm stores the food which is required for the development of the embryo. Next is definition of fertilization. Fertilization is the fusion of male and female gamete to form zygote. So this is fertilization. And next is zygote. Zygote is the cell formed due to fusion of male and female gamete. That means fertilization, it is the fusion of male and female gamete. But zygote, it is the cell formed due to fusion of male and female gamete. Next, I have asked you to draw the diagram of a bean seed. Okay, this is the diagram of a bean seed. But it's a cross-sectional view. Okay, over here you see it consists of two seed leaves, that is cotyledon, and this part is known as the plumule and this part is known as the radicle, and this plumule and radicle is together forming the embryo. Later on, this embryo will develop into the seedling. Next is longitudinal section of bean seed. You see, this is the longitudinal section. Okay, this portion is the testa. This outer seed coat has two layers. The outer one is testa and inner portion is the tegmen. Okay, and this is the total embryo. Okay, this is the total embryo. The top part of the embryo is the plumule and the lower portion of this one is the radicle. This tiny opening is known as the micropyle, and this entire section, that means just below the seed coat, this entire portion is known as the cotyledon, and this is the longitudinal section of bean. Next is longitudinal section of maize grain. You see the topmost portion, that is the outermost covering, it is the seed coat and the fruit coat is fused. And as because the seed coat and fruit coat is fused, therefore maize is known as a grain. Next is there is a layer you can see over here surrounding this particular endosperm chamber. This is known as the alluron layer. This portion is known as the endosperm. Now endosperm is the starch-rich food which is present over here, which will help the embryo to just derive their food and nourishment from over here and develop into a seedling. Next we have a shield-shaped cotyledon over here. This is the scutellum. It mainly helps in absorption of this food material from the endosperm to the embryo. Next is coleoptile. It is the protective covering of the plumule. And plumule, it will later give rise to the shoot system, we know. And this portion is known as the radicle. And this portion, that is the protective covering of the radicle, this is known as the coleorhiza, and radicle will later give rise to the root system, and this all together is known as the embryo. I hope you have understood up to the assignment which I have given you. So let us begin with the second part, that is part 3 of chapter 2, that is germination. So now let us learn about germination. Since we have already learned about the structure of flower, we have learned about pollination, we have learned about fertilization, and we have also learned about the formation of fruit and seed. And now we will be learning about germination. Now what is germination? Germination, it is the process by which an embryo within seed becomes active and grows into a young plant called germination. Okay, that means you can see I have drawn a diagram over here. This is the seed which After sowing in the soil or after falling in moist soil, what will happen? It will give rise to the radicle over here and plumule over here, and later on this will finally give rise to the shoot system over here along with the root system at the down. You can see the root system is coming out with primary root, with lateral roots all around. So this is how germination takes place. Okay, let me show you in reality how it occurs. Now see students, I have already placed the different stages of germination of a plant. Okay, over here I hope you all can see. Now this is actually the seed of a tamarind. You can see this is the seed of tamarind. Okay, now what is happening? Slowly but steadily the plumule will give rise to the shoot system and radicle will give rise to the root system over here. Okay, now you see the leaves are coming out. This is the first stage of germination. That means the embryo which was present inside this particular seed, it grew into this type of structure. Later you see, slowly but steadily it is increasing in size and they are giving a long root system over here. I can see rather a primary root can mainly be visible over here. In next stage, you see there is a more elongation of the stem portion, that is the shoot portion, and the number of leaves are increasing in number. That means the shoot system is being developed. And over here, the root is also elongating. And in the last particular plant, you see the number of leaves has increased to maximum, and also see the type of leaf is of compound type. Okay, means one midrib is having so many leaves all together, leaflets all together. Now this is the elongated stem portion, and you can see this is the primary root along with the lateral branches which is coming up. Okay, so today we will be discussing in details about the factors that influences germination along with the type of germination, how it occurs, and the different stages also. Let us learn in detail. Now let us learn about the factors necessary for germination. The factors are firstly water. Now water, as I said, it will be entering through the micropyle, and what it will do? It will burst the seed coat. It will simply burst the seed coat, and also it will enhance the chemical reactions that will be taking place inside the seed, so that it leads to the development of the seedling from the embryo. Next is air. Air, mainly oxygen we require, the plant require. Oxygen is required for respiration to generate energy for growth of the embryo. Okay, the embryo, like we also, if we don't take food every day, we will fall sick. We will not grow properly. Similarly, the oxygen is required for respiration so that food can be broken inside the seed and it generate energy for the growth of the embryo. Next is optimum temperature. Now, the optimum temperature varies from place to place. Like in case of temperate plants, the optimum temperature is almost 10 to 15 degrees Celsius. But since India is mainly a tropical country, therefore optimum temperature is about 35 to 40 degrees Celsius for germination of the seed. If the temperature reduces than 35 degrees Celsius, then the seed will not germinate. And if it is more than 40 degrees Celsius, then the plant will die. Okay. Now, in order to explain you about the different germinating factors that is essential for germination of the seedling present inside the seed, we will be learning about the 3-bean seed experiment. Now, what is 3-bean seed experiment? Actually, we will take a scale like this and we will place 3 beans over here. This is seed A, then seed B, seed C. Now seed C, we can see it is above the water level. Okay, we have taken a beaker over here and we have half filled the beaker with water. Now this is seed A, which is not receiving any kind of water. This is seed B. It is receiving both water as well as air from outside. And the last one, that is seed C, we can see since it is below water surface, that means no oxygen is available for the seed. Let me mention you one thing, students. Since bean is a land plant, that means that it is not a water plant, so it cannot take in oxygen inside the water. Okay, that is why I am telling that water is not available over here. Now after few days, let us see what happens after few days. After few days, what will happen? We will see that seed A will not germinate. Why it will not germinate? Because it is not receiving any water. So it will not, the seed coat will not burst, or even if the chemical reactions will not take place inside. In case of C, no air is available. That means no respiration is occurring. And if respiration is not occurring, then there will be no energy generation. As a result, the seed will not germinate. But in case of seed B, it is receiving both air as well as water and also receiving the optimum temperature. Therefore, it will easily germinate into a particular seedling. I hope you have understood up to this. Okay. Next is types of germination. Germination is mainly of two types. One is apigeal germination, another is hypogeal germination. Now in apigeal germination, the cotyledons are pushed above the ground, whereas in case of hypogeal germination, the cotyledons remain underground. In case of apigeal germination, hypocotyle elongates faster than epicotyle, whereas hypogeal germination, the epicotyle elongates faster than hypocotyle. In case of apigeal germination, example is bean and tamarind, and in case of hypogeal germination, example is maize and pea. Okay, let me describe this you properly with the help of a live example. Now see students, now this is the seed of a tamarind. Okay, that means this brownish portion which is present over here, this is the seed coat. And when the seed coat will burst due to absorption of water, it will be just bringing outside these two cotyledons. Within this brown color portion, we will be getting this swollen portion which is known as cotyledon. I think you have understood what is cotyledon now. You see, these are the two seed leaves, and even you can see the scar is also there. Scar for the radicle to move outside. I hope you can see. Now you have understood between the difference between seed coat and cotyledon, I suppose. Now you see, after the seed coat burst, the radicle will be coming down. But over here we will see the hypocotyle. Hypocotyle means portion over here. Since this portion is elongating at a faster rate than the epicotyle, that means the top portion. So what will happen? Just see, I am showing you over here. When the hypocotyle will elongate faster, actually it will just carry the epicotyle at the top with it. You see, at the top with it. But if the epicotyle would have moved faster, then it would have moved from the top portion. That means cotyledon would be left behind within the earth only, within the earth level. You see, this is the soil surface level. That means since the epicotyle is not elongating, the hypocotyle is elongated. That is, from the down portion it is elongating. So it is carrying with it with the epicotyle. Okay, it is carrying the epicotyle with it. But in case of hypogeal germination, the epicotyle moves faster, means top portion moves faster. That is why the cotyledon remains within the soil. Okay. Now let us discuss the example in detail. So here is the epigeal germination in bean, as you can see. Okay, this is the first diagram labeled as A. Over here you can see the seed is sown inside the soil, or it has fallen on moist soil. So what is happening after absorption of water? The seed coat bursts, and what happens? The radicle emerges from one portion, as I have already shown you in my life model also. Okay, then radicle slowly develops into the root system. As root system helps in absorption of water and mineral, then this water and mineral will be reaching up to the cotyledon, and inside the cotyledon there is the stored food also, and it at the beginning, it acts as the first photosynthetic leaves. Now, since this cotyledon is pushed up above the soil, okay, it is pushed up above the soil, this is known as epigeal germination. That means over here, the hypocotyle means the lower part is elongated, piercing through the soil and bringing the cotyledon above the soil. Now this type of germination is known as epigeal germination. Okay. Then you see, slowly but steadily the plumule is giving rise to the leaves. Okay. And by continuous formation of shoot system, many more leaves will be coming up. But at the beginning, this cotyledon will behave as the first photosynthetic leaf, and also it will help in storing the food material for the embryo. I have already shown you also. You can get a similarity over here. This is the cotyledon acting as the first green photosynthetic leaves. Okay, and slowly but steadily the number of leaves will increase, and at the below you can see the root system is also being developed so that the plant can survive an independent life. Now this way epigeal germination is taking place in case of bean, and I have shown you the example of tamarind. Now this is hypogeal germination in pea. As you can see in the diagram, in the first diagram A, the seed is found below the soil surface. Then in seed B, slowly but steadily, after absorbing the water, the seed coat bursts and the radicle is moving down into the ground. Then in C, you see the epicotyle is elongating first. That is why the cotyledon will remain underground. In that case, the hypocotyle was elongating at the first. That is why it was bringing above the soil the cotyledon part. But over here, since the epicotyle is forming, it is growing faster than hypocotyle. That is why the cotyledon will remain underground. And slowly but steadily, this radicle will give rise to the root system. You can see over here the primary root, the lateral root and side branches, and the plumule will give rise to the shoot system consisting of the leaves. And since it is a tendril, since it is a climber plant, so it is forming tendrils also for more support. While it will be getting a support, it will coil around it and it will grow further. So this is hypogeal germination of pea. So I am repeating once more. This is the seed. On absorbing the water, it will burst, the seed coat will burst and the radicle will emerge. And since this is hypogeal germination, that is why epicotyle will move faster than hypocotyle. And since the epicotyle is moving faster, so the cotyledon will remain underground. Okay, and since it remains underground, this is known as hypogeal germination of pea. Later, This radicle will give rise to the root system, and this plumule will give rise to the shoot system, that is the leaves, the tendrils, and we know tendrils helps in twirling around objects for support and growth. And the last part of the chapter, that is hypogeal germination in maize. Now maize is the endospermic monocotyledonous seed. That is why over here the cotyledon is very thin and papery. But the endosperm over here, which is present inside this grain, will help in providing the necessary food and nourishment to the developing seedling. Now what happens? This seed, after sowing in the soil or falling in moist soil, they will start absorbing water, and as they start absorbing water, the seed coat will burst, that is the fused seed coat and fruit coat will burst, and from there the radicle will be emerging downwards and the plumule moving upwards like this, and the oxygen will help in breaking down the food so present inside this particular maize grain, so that the seedling can get the necessary food from over here. Slowly you just see the plumule is elongating, as I have shown in the live model also, that there is the growth is followed by elongation in the stem portion, and you can see, since maize is a monocot seed, that is why it is having a fibrous root like this. You have already read about fibrous root in the previous chapter. And in seed D, you see now the endosperm is shriveling. It is just squeezing. You see this one is so much thicker, but this one is very thinner in size. Why? Because as the plant is increasing in size and developing, it is utilizing the food so present inside the endosperm. And slowly but steadily what happens? This particular from this particular grain, great number of cluster of fibrous root is coming out, so that it can absorb water and mineral for the plant. And you can see the plumule, after elongating, giving rise to the shoot system. Mainly first it consists of the photosynthetic leaves over here, and they start preparing their own food, and slowly they become independent from this endosperm, because one time or the other the endosperm will be exhausted. It will no more be containing food. That time plant has to depend on the leaves for their own photosynthetic food. Okay, and now finally the plant becomes independent. So this is the last part of the chapter, that is germination. That means, germination means what? It is the activation of the embryo which is present inside the seed with the help of water, oxygen and appropriate temperature, so that it can undergo through this particular phenomena and give rise to a seedling like this. And remember one thing, the first and foremost thing that happens is the seed first starts absorbing water and the seed coat bursts. And whenever the seed coat bursts, the radicle emerges. The second step will be radicle emerges. Then after that what happens? Either the epicotyle or hypocotyle emerges. If the epicotyle emerges, then radicle will remain underground and it will be known as hypogeal germination. But if the hypocotyle elongates faster than epicotyle, then what will happen? It will bring the cotyledon above the ground, and at that time cotyledon will serve as the first photosynthetic leaf in case of that particular plant, and that time they will be known as, that type of germination will be known as epigeal germination. So students, I hope you have understood up to this. So have a nice summer break, but once more I am reminding you, you have to follow Google Classroom of Biology and write the assignment question answers as well as the question answers from book exercise, which I have already uploaded in Google Classroom in your classwork copy. No need to write the notes which I am sending, because it will take a lot of time of yours. So please don't write those notes in your classwork copy, but positively write the assignment question answers as well as the question answer which I have uploaded from the book question answers, okay, which I have uploaded. Thank you so much, students, for listening. Have a nice day.